Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort. Thought-provoking. Informative. Engaging. Are you ready to be inspired and equipped? And now, the Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort.
Welcome to the Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort, where randomness is the only predictable thing. And in fact, friends, today, if we do not have an utter catastrophe, total chaos, absolute failure, that'll be unpredictable.
So why are you saying every day randomness is the unpredictable? We say it every day. It's so predictable.
Well, but it's kind
of
random.
It day after day. Randomness. People tune in. We're going to hear the randomness thing again. It's so predictable. You're going to cry?
Why are you doing this to me?
Typical Arab. Come on. Get it together.
And the reason why it would be unpredictable if we don't have utter chaos is because today we actually are piping in our good friend Eric Hovind all the way from Florida through Skype. So we'll see. Again, it's probably going to all fall apart.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
This is where Murphy's Law can get in the door.
And it works.
Skyping.
Maybe that's what it is. Predict it, and then something else will happen.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yep, right. All right, friends, on to the story of the day. Morgan Freeman was asked some things in a Q&A. Do you believe in intelligent design? And he said, quote, "No, let me clarify that answer, because intelligent design is exactly what we see. But does that come from some being? I think life itself is intelligent. I don't think necessarily that a creator had to be involved." Would you call that an intelligent statement, Mr. Comfort?
Can I put it nicely? I can't. That's a stupid thing to say. I mean, obviously, if you've got intelligent design, you've got an intelligent designer. If you've got a beautiful painting, you've got a skilled painter.
Right.
It's just crazy. You know, I was thinking the other day, and let me use you as an illustration. Look at the design of the human body. I mean, look at the face. The eyes are like two incredible cameras. Imagine if the nose evolved the other side up, with the nostrils at the top. What a nightmare in a rainstorm.
I'm trying to think of a rainy day.
Just think of the mouth, where it's situated. You don't have two mouths, and one eye, a cyclops, and two mouths. Everything is beautiful. The ears, look at the little grooves, all to capture sound. The sound comes, is grabbed by the grooves and thrown down to where there's supposed to be a brain. So everywhere we look, there's
supposed to be?
Yes. Well, this is what makes me wonder.
Right.
You know, it's just crazy that people talk like that, and they do it because if they say creator, they know they're talking morality. They know that God requires moral accountability because God has given a conscience to every single human being.
Right.
Society shaped, God-given, a conscience. So that's why they don't like the thought of a creator, and that's why men are unreasonable. It makes no sense because they love their sins and want to hold on to their sins.
Mark, you know, Morgan Freeman is hailed as a great actor, and I think when people are in that sort of an arena, they almost are treated like they're infallible in the eyes of the world. But how do you respond to something like this? I mean, you run into the person and say, well, Morgan Freeman said this, and yeah, I believe that. People start adopting those things. What's our response as Christians?
Yeah, there's a bit to an appeal to authority, but the thing is, he's not an authority in anything other than acting. I mean, he's an amazing actor. He's an amazing narrator. He made this comment. He said, well, I really don't think there's an entity involved in the creation of the universe. Involved in the what? Of the universe, involved in the creation of the universe. You know, I don't think that a lot of these celebrities have paused long enough to think through these things. And I think Morgan Freeman obviously is one of them. And I think we have a video that you're going to show. Yeah, we do. Yeah, if we have that video queued up, let's go ahead and roll it and hear Morgan Freeman in his own words.
And you've said before, Morgan, that you're a man of God. When you did this, and so many of these questions were posed.
When did I say I was a man of God?
You're not?
No. No.
You're a man of faith.
Faith. It's a big difference.
So all right. So the question of faith leads us most of the time to a God. What is your view of faith?
The question of faith is whatever you actually believe is. We take a lot of what we're talking about in science on faith. We posit a theory, and until it's disproven, we have faith that it's true. If the mathematics work out, then it's true, until it's proven to be untrue. For instance, if you remember, there was one point when we had mapped the universe and we knew what all all of the matter was. We knew where the edge of the universe was. And then we got the Hubble telescope and we got, uh-oh.
Not quite there. It's a little further on.
Right.
I think the amazing thing, again, is within Hollywood, there's kind of this sort of a circle of the elite. And it's kind of almost cool to just pontificate without making any sense.
Yeah.
It's like no one is even paying attention to what's being said, but we do know someone who is paying attention to the subject. He is our good friend, the president of creation today, who is freezing to death today in Florida, of all places. We have our friend Eric Hovind with us via Skype. Eric, you there?
Hey, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Wow, what a miracle. Look at this. He's all the way across the country, and we're actually
No, he's not.
seeing
He's
each
back
other.
to us.
Back to us, right. He was. Eric, so you heard the thing we played from Morgan Freeman. You've been listening to what we've been talking about. And you specialize through your ministry on creation topics. And we've been seeing more and more from experts in your field who have been pointing out how ridiculous evolution is. So how much longer do you think that the hypothesis of evolution can even survive?
Well, I like that you use the word hypothesis there, but I think of it like this. As long as there are people that reject God and would rather have science fiction, then something like the evolution hypothesis is going to be around. The bottom line is creation and evolution are mutually incompatible. You have to choose. It's like God says, choose you this day whom you will serve. Yeah. And when you choose evolution, you choose humanism, which says the end of all being is the happiness of man, rather than Christianity, which says the end of all being is the glory of God. So I think that evolution is continually being propped up. I had some articles printed out here that we do fuzzy word analysis of. These are scientific articles. All the gray is fuzzy stuff that doesn't make any sense. There's actually very little science in these science articles anymore. All they're doing is taking one little bitty science statement and then using that to say, well, that must mean and could mean, and you guys have talked about that many times, but it just, they pontificate over nothing, and people buy that. And it's amazing.
So that's the truth. That's the truth. People buy it. I mean, that's behind it also. It's big money in evolution. Do you sometimes feel somewhat frustrated by the whole issue?
To be honest, yes. I've been involved in creation ministry since I was brought up in it for the past 24 years, been actively speaking for the past 16 years, and it is incredibly frustrating to see the number of people that don't get it. And it actually wasn't until a few years ago that I realized I was reading a great book called the Bible.
Wow.
I was reading a great book, but it tells us, Scripture has the answers. It tells us in here, people are going to be willingly ignorant. They're going to be dumb on purpose, and they're going to walk after the lusts of their flesh. The reason people scoff at the Bible is never, ever, ever because of science. It's always because of sin.
Right.
So does it frustrate me? Yes, but just as much as this whole sin-cursed world frustrates me, which is why I desire to share the gospel.
Yeah, so often I get people ask questions and you answer it and they say, well, what about this? What about insects having 4 legs? And they really don't desire truth. They're just looking for excuses. I had a guy, an atheist, put on my blog, so Ray, what happens if you die and after death there's nothing there? What are you going to do then? It's a stupid thing to say, because there'll be nothing there.
Yeah, it really is amazing, Eric, and it's encouraging for us as a ministry, and we're not primarily, obviously, as you know, a creation ministry, but to have brothers like you in the fight that are, you know, gospel-minded.
Right.
Because that's the thing we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
You can convince someone to become a creationist per se, but that doesn't result in regeneration.
Right.
And we've oftentimes talked about, you know, the evidential approach where, yeah, someone now believes there's a creator, but that doesn't result in salvation. But I love your approach. I love the way that you hold up the gospel, and it's encouraging.
I love the way you hold up the evidence Bible.
Yes. In fact, we were going to ask you to just keep it on your head during the whole
There you go, man. I tell you,
great.
for your audience, just from my ministry, this is one of the 2 Bibles that I highly, highly recommend. And Ray, you've done an amazing job here, so thank you.
Oh, Lynn Copeland also, the editor, was wonderfully.
Eric, you know, one thing that I've learned from your ministry is you like to say, if I could prove to you that God exists to your satisfaction, would you be willing to bow down and worship the God I'm talking about? Tell a little bit more about that. What do they say when you say something like that? Because it seems obvious that it is intellectual to them. There's an intellectual argument. Prove to me that God exists. We hear atheists say it all the time. Give me evidence. Give me proof. Convince me. What do they say when you say that statement?
Well, there's a real specific reason why I asked the question that way. It's kind of like a lawyer would ask a question. It's a catch-22. No matter how they answer, I've got them. First of all, most atheists that I encounter, when I say, if I could prove God, would you worship him? They say no. And right away, it should, doesn't always, but it should show them. This is not an intellectual issue. This is an emotional, this is a heart issue. You don't want to believe in the God of the Bible, and that is the real issue. Those that say, yes, I would, now I've kind of got them in another way. I say, you know what? You're exactly right. But it would be a God that has submitted to your requirements rather than God that is a judge over everything and a judge over your life.
Right.
So even then, it wouldn't be the God of the Bible. So it's kind of a catch-22. The whole point is we have to realize our job is not to put God on trial. When 1 Peter 3:15 tells us, sanctify the Lord God in your heart, be ready always to give an answer, it's commanding us to do that. In meekness and fear, by the way, sometimes Christians can forget that point. But it's commanding us to give an answer, to defend our faith. But we don't ever have to defend God. He can take care of himself, no problem.
So have you got any questions you find very difficult to answer? I mean, is there anything that kind of, you just go, oh, I don't like that one?
Yes, that one, Ray.
That's a really tough one. Yeah.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, you know, Eric, one of the things we hear oftentimes by the evolutionary community is, what has religion done for science, right? and we're often kind of set to the side as irrelevant. My question to you is, what has evolution done for science?
Wow, this is a great question, because this puts it right back on them, and sometimes I wonder why we don't do this more to them. Tell me what evolution did. Evolution had nothing to do with putting a man on the moon. Absolutely nothing. In fact, it was a combination of applied science and engineers who actually accomplished what they did. Evolution had nothing to do with medicine. Doctors don't use evolution. Surgeons don't use evolution. Medicine was developed by Bible-believing surgeons. Sounds like you guys are laughing in the background there. All right.
No, it must be your guys.
No, I don't have guys. All right.
You hearing voices?
Something's going on. Maybe it's just the headpiece here. Yeah. Look, the bottom line is Bible-believing surgeons and Christians are the ones who have developed all these things. Joseph Lister is the one who came up with antiseptics, a Bible-believing scientist. Evolution didn't come up with X-rays or magnetic resonance imaging, MRIs. It was actually Bible-believing Christians that did that. The gene gun was invented by John Sanford, a Bible-believing young earth creationist. So what has evolution given to mankind? I'll tell you. It's given us thousands of scientists who make their living writing about evolution and teaching it. Yet it's created absolutely nothing in the realm of science other than creating its own brand new industry, kind of like sports.
Wow.
Right.
That's very
Wow,
interesting.
that's really well put, Eric. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what Creation Today has been doing. Ray and myself are going to be with you at the Creation Museum coming up out there with our good friend Ken Ham. So tell us a little bit about that and everything you're doing.
I'm really excited about that. As you see, I've got my own product placement going on with the Genesis 3D movie. If you haven't checked it out, it's genesismovie.com for my shameless plug of the day. Oh, you didn't hear that? genesismovie.com. You can check that out. Look, the creation evolution debate is going to continue to rage on. I thought 20 years ago, this thing can't last very long, because look at all the science that's being developed. I mean, it was kind of cutting edge back then. 40 years ago is really when it was kind of getting started. 20 years ago, we were like, wow. I thought there's no way this can continue. And here we are 20 years later, and I'm going, it is more heated today than it's ever been in the history of the world. The creation evolution debate, I think, needs to be handled on several fronts. Number one, we need research. I just talked to a friend of mine who's in the doctorate level program at Cornell University, used to work for me here in biology. brilliant guy, loves the Lord, is there, teaches labs, doesn't believe in young earth creation. He says, look, once you get past the freshman level evolution stuff, they assume you just believe it. So they don't really deal with it a whole lot after that. But then in your master program, they hit it again. But we need more, I don't want to call them creation scientists. I just want to say scientists that are creationists. We need more scientists in the field that say, look, God designed this. I'm going to do what men of old did, wise men that God granted wisdom to, and I'm going to discern the truths of God, and I'm going to learn these truths of God. We need outspoken leaders, number 2. We need guys like you guys out there who are outspoken, as everybody knows. We need guys like Ken Ham, who's going to be debating Bill Nye coming up in a few weeks. We need outspoken people out there leading people to know the truth. Third, we need a grassroots movement. I believe this is what's going to be the most effective, is when we actually get out there and tell our friends and our neighbors the truth about this. We have a list, I've developed my own list of 250 different creation speakers and ministries in the United States alone. It's part of one of the, we want to assist, our ministry wants to enable and equip the grassroots movement. We are developing right now our live events page. Another shameless plug, sorry, but creationtoday.org, go to the live events page. And we're beginning to put many, many other ministries on there just to tell you what in creation is going on. I want you to know about these so you can educate yourself. So I'm combining 2 and 3 with the traveling and speaking and the investing like that, going to theaters kind of on a larger scale, and really the grassroots movement.
So how can the average Christian be outspoken for your ministry? What can we do?
The average Christian can share the DVDs just like you guys. We have DVD tracks available. And it's amazing how many people would be willing to put something into their DVD player at home and watch it, but they don't want to come to an event. You can invite them to the events that are going on. I mean, there are literally hundreds going on around the country all the time. You can teach something in your Sunday school class. We provide our PowerPoint resources for people on our website at the Creation Store, so they can get those, learn it, and teach it to somebody else. The best way to learn is to teach. So I'm looking over this is this year's science textbook that I'm evaluating, and I'm on the 2 evolution chapters, and it's ridiculous some of the things these kids are having to learn. We hear all the time, look, it doesn't really matter. And I don't think people understand there is a Holocaust going on in the public education system. They are systematically taking children's faith away from them and putting their faith in something that it doesn't belong, in this religion of evolutionism. So this really is a serious battle, and as you guys have seen, it really is a stumbling block for the gospel. Ultimate goal, though, is the gospel.
Right.
Amen. Well put, Eric. And once again, what a blessing it is to have you as a partner in ministry, a dear friend to us. And we want to encourage everyone to please check out Eric's website. And again, that's creationtoday.org, Eric?
That's correct, creationtoday.org.
Yeah.
What was that?
That's creationtoday.org. We're on Facebook, youtube.com/creationtoday, Twitter @creationtoday. So all kinds of places, but the website there is where you'll get the most free articles, free resources, free videos, just ways to equip you in defending your faith.
Very cool.
Wonderful. Well, Murphy's Law kicked in. We said it would be a disaster and chaotic, and by God's grace, it worked perfectly. So, Eric, thanks for joining us, my friend, and we'll connect with you again real soon. God bless you.
God bless you guys.
Thought you were going to say it was a disaster.
It went great. I can't believe it. We didn't have any glitches. Yes. All right, friends. I want to read you something here before we move on to some questions, but in keeping with what we just talked about. This is a poem that was written by J.H. Hunter. Once I was a tadpole grubbing in the mire, till I became ambitious and started to aspire. I rubbed my tail so vigorously against a sunken log, it disappeared completely, and I found myself a frog. I struggled from my puddle, and I jumped upon dry land, and the feeling that was in me was glorious and grand. It made me kind of frisky, so I hopped around a tree till I landed in the branches as happy as could be. And there I spent some aeons evoluting without fail, till I became a monkey and grew another tail. But still I had ambitions as the aeons quickly sped, so I descended from the tree and walked the earth instead, till my tail got tired with trailing on the hard ground every day, and twice within my process that appendage passed away. Once again I evoluted, and believe it if you can, I awoke one summer morning and found myself a man. Now, you tadpoles in the mire, just think what you may be if you'll only in your puddles start to climb the family tree. I'm the genus Homo, finished for all the world to see, for when I told my story, I was given a PhD. I love that.
That's very good.
It is very good, and very much like what's happening today with evolution. So it is a blessing to have guys like Eric. Mark, you've known Eric for a long time. What a blessing he is to the Christian community, wouldn't you say?
Well, he really is. He's not just a man of intellect. He's a man of faith. He's a man that loves his wife. He loves his kids. He's on the front lines. You know, I often think of people who I support on the mission field. Well, Eric in his ministry is definitely somebody who I personally, with my family, we support financially every month. And I would encourage other people to do so as well. Go to creationtoday.org if you're looking for a good missionary, a good ministry to support. That is definitely the route to go. You know, Morgan Freeman said something very interesting. You notice that he had corrected the interviewer who said, "You're a man of God?" No, I never said I was a man of God. You're a man of faith? He goes, "Yes, absolutely. I'm a man of faith." But you pause long enough to realize what he's actually saying. He's a man of blind faith. No disrespect, but he's a man of blind faith. I quickly just looked up what is blind faith according to the dictionary as we were talking here. It's belief without true understanding. Belief without true understanding. You know, Ray witnesses to people quite a bit. We have these Living Waters University clips on our YouTube channel where you can watch Ray engage in dialogue from the beginning of a conversation, swing over to the spiritual from that natural realm, and how he handles conversations. It's amazing. We have probably 100 or more, if not more, witness encounters on YouTube watching Ray do this. And it's not uncommon to come across people who say they're spiritual. They are not religious, because that's a very grotesque term, as it were, but they're spiritual. They worship God. They seek God in their own way. Okay, maybe not God. Mother Nature is their higher entity. I was watching Ray talk to a professor, I think it was Long Beach or Cerritos, earlier today for our upcoming film on Noah. And she considered herself to be very spiritual, but not religious. She's against organized religion. In fact, she said that she was more not atheist, but agnostic in her approach to worldview and things of that nature. But listen, when you have hope without God, you don't have hope in God. You have hope in hope. You hope that everything kind of works out. If you say you are a man of faith, but you have not God, well, then you have blind faith, because God is reality. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. We must not forget that. He is the highest authority for all things.
You know, Mark, we live in a world of faith. We can't get away from it. Faith is to us as water is to a fish. I mean, we eat candy every day before the show.
Some of us more than others.
Yeah, so Mark doesn't take one, he takes a whole handful.
Does Mark really eat candy? I don't think Mark eats candy, does he?
Yeah. But every time you drop one in your mouth, you're exercising faith. You're trusting someone at some factory hasn't dropped some LSD in large quantities or some sort of
maybe that's what's wrong with Mark.
Yeah. But seriously, every time you throw something in your mouth, you don't know who prepared it, you don't know what it contains, you don't even think about it, you just so exercise trust that people have done. Uh-oh, Mark's just gone.
It's happened. Oh boy.
And marriage is based on faith. You can't have a good marriage, you can't have a good business relationship if you don't trust your partner, you can't have friends without having faith in them. So we have faith in every area of life.
Ray, have you ever doubted God?
No, never once. I'd never doubt you. I wouldn't doubt my wife. You know, if someone says, you ever doubted your wife, ever not trusted her, you think she's done something evil and she's gone behind your back? Never once in 40-something years of marriage. Not once. And because if I doubted her...
do you think she would have any doubt as to whether or not you'd remember how long you've been married?
Yeah, it's a long time. But anyway, I'd never doubt the character of my wife. She keeps every promise she makes, and she's a human being. She's a sinner. So how much more should I never doubt the character of God? I mean, I've had things happen to me that I can't figure out, but never once have I said, God, you're a liar in my heart. Shame on me if I did.
Do you ever yell at God and call him names?
Never. Some people, I got angry at God today. What are you talking about? This is
Yeah.
the creator of the universe.
There are very few things that make me tremble as much as that thought.
They make me angry.
Yeah, but the thought of a human being, and you hear that oftentimes, you know, and often people will boast and brag about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was letting God have it.
Yeah.
Do you understand who you're talking about?
It's crazy. Go and play with fork lightning rather than talk
Gets
like
me
that.
all worked up. Yeah, so this is, you know, it's good we're talking about this because, again, like I said, one of the biggest tragedies today is that people are just making things up on the fly, and they're getting validated. I mean, what's a lady like that supposed to say to Morgan Freeman, who's this big celebrity, as he starts to pontificate on absolutely nothing? You know, and some of the quotes. Now you're talking to Morgan Freeman, actor. You're not talking to Morgan Freeman, scientist, or Morgan Freeman, theologian, or any of that. Okay. Well, I really don't think there is an entity involved in the creation of the universe. That's when he was asked. So you don't believe in a creator is responsible for life? That's hogwash to say there's life. To say that there's creation and there's no creator again is just ridiculous. But
everything made has a maker. Everything. There's nothing you can think of materially, car, chair, table, I can't even think of anything, house, painting, everything made has a maker. And people stop thinking that logic when it comes to God. So it's a craziness that we have to deal with in these latter days.
Yeah, and again, as we say time and again, everyone knows God exists. Romans makes that clear. We don't put God on trial. He is the reigning supreme king of the universe. So friends, thank you again for joining us today. And the whole point of this program and bringing you into the comfort zone is to get you out of your comfort zone. So get out there and preach the gospel for the glory of God.
For questions about the Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort, or to submit questions for future shows, please email us at email@tczlive.com. That's email@tczlive.com. The Comfort Zone is an outreach of Living Waters. For more resources to inspire and equip you to fulfill the Great Commission, check out livingwaters.com or call toll-free 1-800-437-1893. Now go and preach the gospel. Christians agree that sharing the gospel is extremely important, but many never do because they fear not knowing what to say. The School of Biblical Evangelism by Ray Comfort and Kirk Cameron is your complete guide to sharing your faith. It has 101 lessons exploring everything from world religions to biblical prophecies. Learn how to overcome your fears, answer the most common questions, and take part in the work of saving the lost. Get the School of Biblical Evangelism through our store at livingwaters.com and learn how to share the gospel simply, effectively, and biblically, the way Jesus did.